I wanted to talk with you, Justin VandenBrink, uh, because I'm really interested in two categories that you fall into. Is that honestly three categories? One is just somebody who is kind of self-made in the sense that you are self-employed, that you had a vision for what you wanted to do with your life, and you had the gumption to actually do it. And not just that with your day job, but with all in no small part, your wife has helped you with that. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
um, but beyond that, also with your pursuit of music and your passions, like as we get older, we're not in high school anymore. We went to high school together, but that was a long time ago.
It was.
Yeah, and as we get older, it's harder to maintain those things that you were once passionate about. It's easier to just fall into the daily grind of adulting, as
Mm-hmm.
people say. Um, and then also, I really want to just support local community in general. So I want to start celebrating and interviewing people who are local, um, to show that even like it's in one part, it's because I love my hometown, Holland, Michigan, but or West Michigan in general. But in another part, it's to show that like wherever you are in life, it's easy, especially as technology has changed, and the way that we interact with each other has changed. It's easy to be insulated
Mm-hmm.
and isolated because of that, and not realize what's going on in the world around you, and that like even in a community that's a small town, a relatively small town like Holland, there's still interesting things happening. Or even if you just take a hop, skip, and a jump to maybe Grand Rapids or something like that. Um, so there are ways to find like-minded people. There are ways to be connected to the community. There's ways to be a blessing to the community and to be blessed by the community. And I feel like you do both. You're a blessing to the community in some of the things you do, and you're blessed by the community in the sense that you're a part of like the Holland Chorale, um, which I guess we could jump into.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess for background information, we went to school together. We were part of a choir together, and we were part of an a cappella group together. Um, Justin is a phenomenal bassist. I am a tenor.
It did the job, right?
Yeah, right. I am a tenor.
God. Yeah,
Um,
that's like over 20 years for us now, John.
it is. It is. Yep. Although we have worked on a project together recently for Sarah, Justin's wife's birthday. Justin sang "I Can't Help Falling in Love," and I did the recording for that and the mixing and mastering and
Mm-hmm.
composition work. It was a lot of fun, and so eventually people will be able to see that and hear just how much of a good bassist Justin is. So it was really interesting. Trying to make a song that's sung by a bassist that's like as the lead.
Mm-hmm.
Very weird. Just because like usually like every instrument has its place, you know what I mean? And it's like it's taking it's like the lead being played on drums. Like it's just like
Yeah.
it's a little
Yeah.
it was a little
Yeah.
fun for me. It was and I think it turned out really nice, and yeah, it reminded me of the Crash Test Dummies. If you ever listened to them, like they did.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And very interesting for me because I'm a sound guy. I think of like bass as the subwoofer. Like you're the pulse of the car when somebody's listening to your music in the car. But then when it's the melody, you can't really use the bass for that. But then you can't add bass underneath it because then it gets muddy.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a little interesting. But yeah, so we started in a choir in high school, and we did an a cappella group together. Did you ever have any leads with Quintessence, our a cappella group?
Any leads?
Yeah, did you like lead on any song? I don't remember.
Oh, yeah, there were two, I think. I know that I did Secret Agent Man.
Secret Agent.
And that was more up into like baritone range. But yeah, so I know I did that one. Yeah, maybe that was it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, especially in an a cappella group, like the bass lends itself to that foundation.
Yeah.
Like, it has to be there.
But I think like it was kind of like Zach did most. Zach is another friend of ours that was in the group. He did most of the like the arrangement stuff.
Yeah, Zach and Andy.
Yeah, and I feel like they tried very hard to like have something for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is really kind of them.
Yeah.
Um, especially if you think about it, like how good Andy is at being lead. He could have easily just been the lead singer all the time. Him
No,
and
he
Jesse.
could just every song we sang, he could have done it.
Yeah. Yeah. He's another friend of ours, a very talented guy. I'd love to interview both Zach and Andy someday. But yeah, so so we mentioned the Holland Chorale. I just wanted to go in chronological order, which is why I double backed and went back to
To high school.
to high school. What got you initially into vocals? Into like, why is that passion there in your heart?
Yeah, well, to answer that question, we go back even further than high school.
Mm-hmm.
The music involvement in my life really goes back to early childhood. That was the result of my mom having a lot of music present in our lives. I have distinct memories of being very young and sitting at the piano with my mom as she's playing things out of songbooks and singing us some songs. In particular, there was an arrangement that she had of the intro song for the Muppets. So I'm blanking on the words to it because I'm a bass. I don't do words. But yeah, it's like let's get the night started on the Muppet Show. I don't know. Anyways,
I'll have to look it up.
yeah, well, man, that'll be a cruise down memory lane for me too. But yeah, just there was always music around. She was playing the piano. My mom has played cello since she was a child.
Mm-hmm.
So she was involved with the Holland Symphony for years and years here in Holland, and so that necessitated. I attended a lot of symphony concerts and everything too. Whether I was falling asleep on the pew in the church or not, I was there.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think it was like really early on that's kind of what started it. I had a few years of piano lessons that were a little rocky. Piano's not exactly my instrument.
Do you play an instrument?
No, I could play kazoo. I play a mean kazoo. That lends itself very well to the doo-doo-doos. So after those, I about 3 or 4 years maybe of piano lessons, and if anything, that was successful in teaching me how to read music.
Sure.
A very valuable skill. But no, I don't play any other instruments. Partly because once we got to middle school, and at least for West Ottawa, you're required to be a part of some sort of music program for 6th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And so I transitioned very easily into choir after having been involved with my church children's choir throughout elementary school. And I didn't want the responsibility of playing an instrument. You take care of something, you had to lug it around all the time. And it was just kind of natural for me to follow that progression. So I started choir in middle school. Still sang at church and everything too. I sang on the praise team for worship services and stuff with youth group and all of that. Led me to quite a bit of choral involvement throughout high school, whether it was in school, we sang in choir, the a cappella group that we were doing extracurricularly. I spent some time at Blue Lake Fine Arts Camp, doing both summer camp, and it led me to some traveling too for that. And it kind of just went from there. I mean, it was then the easy step to look towards music when I was going to college.
Yeah.
I ended up getting a music degree from Albion College, and sang all through college there too. A couple of different choirs, an a cappella group again. And it's just, I don't know, it's it's always been there. It's always been there, and I really have musician as a large part of my identity now.
Sure. Yeah. Even throughout that entire journey, was there a time would you say that you didn't have musician as a part of your identity? Like it was like something was like you liked to do, but you didn't like fully get into it?
Yeah, life gets in the way of things sometimes. After college, um, after college, I actually had my most professional stint of musicianship. I spent 4 months with a vocal quartet working on a cruise ship.
Mm-hmm.
It actually involves our friend Andy as well.
Yeah.
So that was that gig was possible because of him reaching out to me. The lead that was working that quartet, had put this group together. They were looking for a bass, and Andy recommended me.
That's really good.
And auditioned, and it all worked and everything. So I spent my 4 months as a professional musician, and then moved back home, and I was faced with job prospects,
Mm-hmm.
and really for the first time looking towards what's going to be in my future outside of school.
Sure.
And at that time I'd started dating Sarah, and she was about in the same boat as me.
Mm-hmm.
And she made the decision to move on to graduate school.
Mm-hmm.
So she knew that she was moving out to New York for that, and I kind of took that as a, well, let's let's make the change. Let's shake it up a little bit, and I ended up out in New York with her.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, no idea what I was going to be doing, and my jobs out there eventually led me towards working third shift, which is tough for anything else to be going on in
Right.
your life other than your job.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the 10 years that we spent in New York, I really didn't have any music involvement at all. I had tried pretty early on to sing with a choir, and just the scheduling just didn't line up. It was just too hard with the way that the schedule was for working third shift. And I had a couple of instances over the years that Sarah would get a gig for singing at a church on Christmas Eve or something like that. And I would just like jump in and sight read music and
Sure.
and sing for a service or something. But for the most part, it just disappeared for those years.
So that was 10 years. Did you guys know that it was going to be a limited amount of time? Like you knew that you'd be able to get back to music eventually? And B, did you know that it was going to take 10 years?
I mean, when all of that started, we knew that there was a general timeline to, at least at the time that we were going to be in New York.
Mm-hmm.
She moved out there for looking at her master's degree, ended up going through a doctoral program too. And, we knew that, like, okay, that's about 8 years or so. During that time, we'd ended up buying a house out there, put down some roots a little bit. And so after she finished school, we didn't really, once again, at a crossroads, we didn't
Right.
really know what was coming next.
Sure.
And I wasn't necessarily looking towards like getting back into music as a huge priority personally.
Sure.
Just because kind of at that time I was more in support mode.
Sure.
I supported Sarah through these degrees and everything, and it's like, okay, what comes next for you? Like, I'm on board.
Sure. Yeah.
And when the opportunity came up that her job was actually bringing her back to Holland, I was ecstatic. I was very happy to be back in the area, friends and family around. But I knew the music culture of the area too.
Yeah.
So I came back like already knowing that I wanted to be involved with the Holland Chorale again.
Mm-hmm.
I'd sang with them in high school, briefly right after
Yeah.
college too. So like I knew that was waiting for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've been involved with the barbershop chorus. That's actually the chorus in Grand Rapids. I knew that there was one in Holland. So like coming back, I was like, oh my gosh, like, well, yeah. I'll try this out too. That it ended up, the one in Holland, it ended up folding during COVID.
Oh yeah.
As lots of arts organizations did. But all of that to say, like, I knew I knew the opportunities that I was going to have coming back.
Yeah, you had some things to be excited about.
Absolutely. And so when it kind of all shook itself out that we knew we were headed back to Holland, I was really excited because I knew that music was going to be involved in my life again.
That's awesome.
It wasn't I hope that it could be. Like I knew concrete things where this is where I know music can be in my life again.
And I know that we didn't make it, we glossed over it, but Sarah is also a musician.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm planning on interviewing her as like a sequel to this, so you can get the other side of the coin, I guess.
Yeah.
But we actually met Sarah. I met Sarah in choir, in the high school choir that we were together. I'm not sure if you knew her prior to that.
Not really. Well, I guess that's not true. I kind of did because of Blue Lake.
Okay.
So we actually went to Europe together with the choir from Blue Lake.
So even though you weren't in music yourself directly, you were still surrounded by music, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Performances of Sarah's, concerts to go to, operas, because she's an opera singer. There was plenty of music that still made its way into my life, just nothing that I was able to participate in.
Yeah. How did things end up going when you finally got to Holland? Also, I wanted to ask, throughout your entire story, you have that 10-year gap, but while you pursue music, has there been any moment of disenfranchisement where it was like it wasn't fulfilling, or like maybe you were in a group where it wasn't really satisfying, or maybe like the way that somebody kind of directed or something like that? It can be something as simple as that. Or like the group of people that you're with, it kind of didn't feel rewarding in that moment, where you kind of felt like you weren't getting what you wanted out of music when you had the opportunity to explore music. So two questions for you. That's
crazy that you bring that up, because that was actually something I was kind of angling towards. Is absolutely that has happened. Like in the face of all that excitement, in the knowledge that I knew that there were particular things music related in the Holland area that I wanted to be involved with. Once those all came to happen, it doesn't always happen exactly how you think it will or hope it will.
Yeah.
And through all of the ensembles that I've been involved with, since I've been back these last few years, which is probably, I'd say maybe 4 different groups now. Absolutely. There's been moments where, in the grand scheme of things, like, I'm happy that I'm happy that I'm singing. I'm happy that I'm able to be a part of, putting on this production, or, completing this goal that an ensemble is having. I'm glad to be a part of that progress for the group. But for whatever reason, it just doesn't quite scratch the itch, or it doesn't quite give you that warm, fuzzy feeling. It's something that I actually struggled with a little bit, because I would say in the last few years, it's kind of like one of the first times that I ran into that, happening to me as far as my music involvement. And
how did you not lose hope, or how did you not choose to fully give up on things? Why did you continue going, or why did you still believe that it was worth it to try a different ensemble?
Yeah, I think it's because I recognize how deep rooted like music is within my life. That I know from a very, very deep part of me that music is going to be in my life. It is. And so, maybe a way that I found to have music involved right now isn't the best way, but that doesn't mean that there's not another way.
Right.
And it really has to be uh, kind of like a trust in yourself to be like, I'm staying true to me. I'm going to put my efforts towards the things that I know are valuable to me, even if it's not quite in the way that I thought it was going to be.
Wow. No, and then it eventually paid off. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Are you happy with where you are musically right now?
I am pretty happy. I've taken a little bit of a step back overall, just for, personal reasons. I feel that I actually jumped in a little hard. I think once we get back, is like, I want to be involved with everything.
Yeah, right.
Because I had 10 years to make up for.
Yeah.
To some degree, and so it started to be a lot. It's like this night of rehearsal and that night of rehearsal, and all of, like, you start getting weekends that are conflicting for performances. And
for context, you've invited me to join those same choral groups, and I felt like a single one of them was too much of a commitment, and you were doing multiple.
Yeah.
But also, we keep on talking about music in a vague term. Like, we talked about the fact that you did barbershop music, or do barbershop music, and that Sarah, your wife, does opera music. And we did a song together, an Elvis song, Can't Help Falling in Love, which is an insanely long title for a song.
It really
help falling in love with you. Not even is it a full sentence. It's a big sentence. But what kind of genres, like, we talk about music in a vague term, and I do find that, the people who I'm most excited about to talk about with music, they tend to just like music. Like, they're not, like, specific to genre or anything like that. And I get that vibe from you. And again, like, talking with Sarah, I can talk with Sarah about stuff that nobody else has even heard of before. And she'll be like, oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'm like, what?
She's kind of awesome that way. So.
Yeah, right. But what kind of genres do you lean towards? Like, what do you listen to?
That's actually a funny question, because I really don't find myself just sitting and listening to a lot of music.
I find that with a lot of musicians.
I just don't. When I was in college, I listened to tons of a cappella music.
Oh yeah.
Be it from my involvement in high school with Quintessence, or the a cappella group I was in college. It was a genre that I was very, very involved with for a while. And I've always kind of said that, like, oh, I'll listen to anything. One of those, just kind of an open-ended musician.
I will say that your family, I think of your family as eclectic when it comes to music. Like, there's your mom, who you've already touched on, and her cello playing. And I remember your brother being really into, like, in high school, he was, like, really into, like, jazz and fusion. Like, he would, like, show me, like, jazz music. I'd be like, dude, you gotta listen to U2. And he'd be like, why don't you listen to this?
Yeah, I think that's part of what I love about music, is that there is such a variety to it, and people can be as specific or as broad as they want to be within music. And I think I really do lean into that, like, I'll listen to pretty much anything. Like, I enjoy classical music or jazz, or I listen to classic rock, or I'll sit and listen to vocal choral music. Or
I feel like as a musician, it's easier to appreciate what another person is doing, even if it's not something that would be directly in your own wheelhouse.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I can listen to, like, somebody do screamo and just be floored by how they're able to, like, control their diaphragm, and they can control their tone, and it's just magic. It's just absolutely magic, even though I don't make screamo music myself. I think that's also key. Like who are the people who are listening to a cappella music? The people who know how insanely difficult it is to do a cappella music, or the people who know how hard it is to pull off what Chanticleer does, or something like that.
Yeah.
Vocals are really tricky, because even if you had perfect pitch, just the way your vocal folds work, intonation is very hard. like absolute. Like it's not like the piano where you're just like, ding, there's the note, got it.
Yep.
Or the electric
Like
guitar.
perfect pitch. Like you can know exactly where you're supposed to be, but that doesn't mean that you're gonna magically make it.
Exactly. And so hearing those harmonies of these people coming together, it's also just nice, the concept of people coming together to make harmony. It's something magical. I remember visiting your barbershop group and your barbershop group just singing together at a restaurant just randomly, and how it brought people from all over the restaurant, like even the people who work there, out to like listen to you guys. There's a sense of community and camaraderie that I think is like lost for me. I'm a solo musician, not by choice, but because it's hard to find people who it's hard work to make music, and so it's just I've always wanted to be the electric guitarist in a band. That's it. Like that's what I want to be. I didn't want to be the lead for anything like that, but it's just not how life happened.
Yeah.
I think that this tendency in music, it feels like it's only grown over the last decade, especially with technology. The tendency has been people to just do stuff by themselves in their living room or in their bedroom or in their computer room, whatever.
Yeah, everyone can be a producer now.
Yeah.
You can sit and make an entire album of music on your phone.
Right. And I think that part of the magic gets lost when collaboration is removed and when you don't get people who are passionate about other aspects of music. You know, like your what you bring to the table, I would never be able to bring to the table myself. And so like the mixing of the colors creates something that's fresh and new, in my opinion. So it's always nice to do any kind of collaborative effort. And so I'm with you exactly. Like we talked about fusion. Fusion is like the fusion of jazz music and rock music together. You get this brand new flavor that can be tasty. It can be an acquired taste.
Absolutely.
But it can also be tasty. And I think that is very key to the types of music that you've sung. Like singing lead, like an Elvis Presley song. Yeah, I don't know if he's a bass or a baritone. I've always thought of him as a bass that can sing tenor. Like he's a bass, but he's got a good range.
Yeah.
But you also sing traditional choir music. You also sing a cappella music, which is its own thing, its own genre altogether. And then you also sing barbershop music. And by joining you for little moments of that journey, you know, I've sat in.
Yeah,
on all of those things.
you've been a part of every single one of those.
The sheer diversity of it. It's like even the way that you read the sheet music changes from one style to another, and you've been able to kind of be a chameleon and adjust accordingly. Has that expanded your opinion of music as a whole, and of like when you hear other people sing, are you able to kind of recognize kind of like what they're going for and appreciate what they're going for in ways that maybe you weren't able to when you were just starting out?
That's a good question. I think that the variety of my involvement with music has given me an overall appreciation for any one of those number of types of music that you're looking at, but I don't think that I would say I sit there and analyze someone else that deeply.
Sure.
I'm not going to listen to an a cappella group and being like, oh, like I could feel the tension in what they were singing. Not to say that doesn't happen, but just in general, I think for me it tends to be a little bit more of a broad appreciation, with the recognition that I understand, like, what goes into those bits and pieces as well.
What got you into wanting to dive into those other aspects of singing yourself, especially the barbershop thing kind of being, in a way, to me, when you first told me, it felt like it was out of left field. Like, what? There are still barbershop quartets.
Yeah. There's about quartet wise, man, I'm not even sure. I it is alive and well. I will say that. I don't know exact numbers off the top of my head, but yeah, that is the barbershop was based off of an experience in high school actually. The Tulip Time shows that we were involved with choir.
It's a festival in Holland.
Yeah, festival in Holland, Michigan. And so they used to, at least, I actually don't think it's put on anymore, was a variety show, I guess you'd call it. It was groups from all over the area, be it, school choirs or bands or, just like community member groups and all of that. And I remember hearing the barbershop chorus from Holland singing at that show. Mm. And it was actually a guy through my church that was involved with that group that actually gave us one of our arrangements for Quintessence, because we'd started doing some holiday music, and we did an arrangement of I Heard the Bells. And that was actually like a straight barbershop arrangement. Like I'd gotten that from him, from the chorus. So like all of these experiences, even though I wasn't able to actually participate in it, it was just knowledge. Like I knew that existed in Holland, and through all of my varied singing experiences, I have come to know that I really enjoy male vocal music.
Sure.
It's something that just resonates with me. Mm-hmm. And so, knowing I was coming back to the area and looking to be involved with some music, I was like, well, I'd really love to be involved with some male vocal music. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, the barbershop chorus. It was a little out of left field. I hadn't really done a whole lot of barbershop singing before. I did a little bit, I guess, with the quartet that I did in the cruise ship. We had a couple barbershop numbers that were sprinkled within our repertoire, but
so it was a gradual falling into it, kind of.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't sitting on Google, what are the singing groups near me? Right. Oh, okay, this one.
Also, you talk about liking the male vocal groups. Mm-hmm. Is that specifically just because of the tone and the timbre of listening to it, or is it also in part just like the kind of community that you get from a group of guys that are similar age or something like that?
Yeah, I think I think the way you ask that question, that it's both. Because it is both. I mean, there are things that happen musically within a vocal group of men that cannot happen in a mixed gender group.
Sure.
It just physically can't.
And vice versa.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be passionate about the product. Mm-hmm. Like, I love getting together with this group and making this music and performing a show or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's another to be involved with like the community of that group.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what really gets people like addicted to it, if you want to say it like that, because if you look at it as purely a product, like, that can come from anywhere.
Yeah.
You can go sing with people anywhere.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get that warm fuzzy feeling, that community, that, hey, I know that I can go to these guys and find somebody to help put a roof on my shed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then afterwards we'll go out to Buffalo Wild Wings and go sing some songs and eat some chicken wings.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like, kind of goes back to like the situation that we both talked about, where we've had moments in our life where we were doing the product but the community wasn't there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's important to have both. Absolutely. Totally agree. And it's not like the community has to be all members of the same gender. It's
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
We should reiterate the
some of my most memorable music experiences come from co-ed groups.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You married one of them,
and I married one of them too. Absolutely. No hate to the ladies. You guys make fantastic music too. And my experience with female music as of recently has been, there's actually a barbershop chorus in Grand Rapids. The Sweet Adelines is what they call themselves.
Perfect.
So the Sweet Adelines organization has a chorus in Grand Rapids as well. Nice. We've done a couple of collaborative concerts with them and everything too, and it's always exciting to see your style. I won't shoehorn it and say it's just the guys, but to see our style of music traditionally performed, with just the ladies. And they do fantastic music too.
It's a completely different vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And awesome. And I think that we've touched on it a few times. I think a lot of people probably won't know what a barbershop chorale is. Like or a barbershop chorus. Like people have heard of a barbershop quartet.
Yeah, everyone kind of gets the stereotypical image of the Music Man is one of the general ones that comes up to the public, and the barbershop quartet is they have the straw hats, the red striped vests. Mm-hmm. They're standing on the street corner and singing their little ditties and all of that. Yeah. The barbershop quartet itself, like that, has been around since like the 1920s. Mm. So a barbershop chorus is really not much different. Instead of 4 guys, you have 4 voice parts. The Grand Rapids chorus, for example, we have generally between like 40 and 50 guys that sing with us. Mm-hmm. No matter how many it is, you're still able to make music that is just as powerful as that quartet.
That was my question, is how do you maintain, because when I think of barbershop music, I think of a level of closeness. Like I want to use the word intimacy, but usually people think of that as a softer thing. Like mm-hmm. I don't think of barbershop music as soft, but I think of it as, people who you're standing right next to together, like almost like in, what's the word? Like just an abrupt thing where it's like you don't expect it. Like how you guys will just break into song at a restaurant or something mm-hmm. like that. There's a level of spontaneity. Like I think of it as like you're in a park or something like that and you walk by and there's a barbershop group. You don't imagine a barbershop group on a stage. How do you guys manage to maintain that vibe even though you're a group of people on a stage? And there's more of a separation between the audience and the people, the singers, just because there's so many of you.
Uh-huh. That's a good question. I think part of that stems from just how that style of music is written. Mm-hmm. Barbershop itself tends to be I always mix up the words for this. It tends to be polyphonic in the sense that there's generally 4 specific lines of voice, mm-hmm. but it tends to be homosyllabic mm-hmm. in the fact that we are all singing the same thing.
I'll interject. Polyphonic means that multiple notes are being played at the same time, sung at the same time. Sometimes in choir, you'll have multiple parts, but they're actually singing the same notes. And then monosyllabic basically means that everybody's in unison with what they're saying. So there could be some do-do-dos, but it's like everybody's saying do-do-do. Mm-hmm. Or it's not like the lead is singing the lead line, like the vocals, the lyrics.
You'd be everybody's singing the lyrics. The love of my life.
Everybody's saying it.
Everyone is saying that.
Yeah. Different notes, mm-hmm. but same words.
Yeah. 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 So that translates from whether you're having 4 guys do that or you're having 40 guys do it.
Sure. Yeah.
Because that's the way that the music is written. The goal is honestly, you want somebody to be able to sit there and close their eyes and hear 4 guys or hear 40 guys and hear almost the same thing.
Sure. Yeah. I would imagine that's very difficult in especially because there's a level of jazz influence in barbershop music, and that's volatile. That's tricky. I can imagine, especially with lining up syllables, like even like with the recording that we've done together, you know how hard it can be to overdub over yourself. I guess we didn't do a lot of overdubbing in your song, but to get the syllables to line up. How do you magically make it so that
it is not magic? I will tell you that. Yeah, it's work. It really is, and that's part of the, you know, you need to enjoy the process too, not just the product. And you have to be okay with going to a 2-hour rehearsal on Monday night and singing 4 measures 35 times.
Yeah.
Like the process, you have to enjoy that part too.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're gonna have someone come in and be like, what the heck? Like I wanted to sing songs and make music, not, you know, nitpick matching syllables.
Right.
Or tuning a chord just right.
Right. And that is something where it's like, taken in a vacuum, if somebody's not really into it, they might not even be able to fully perceive the differences once, like between something being closely aligned and something really aligned. But I've always talked about it like it's like the sanding down of puzzle pieces, where it's like you're getting the puzzle piece correct so that when you put it with the other puzzle pieces, everything matches and you have a finished puzzle. You don't have to have perfect pitch or be very musically inclined and know what monosyllabic means and polyphonic means to be able to hear the difference. Like if you're hearing 40 people go 2, but it's like you're gonna hear that. So it takes hard work, absolutely, but I do think that it's cool that you're into it. I think that that's like the whole process. I actually get kind of depressed when a project is done. Like, to me, the joy is like that polishing up of stuff. Like, it's like, oh, now this is a little bit better. Now this is a little bit better.
How many times did I get a message from you in the midst of our project for that song being like, I think it's about done. Oh, but this thing.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's about done. Half an hour later. Oh, I sent you one more version. I think it happened like 6 times.
Yeah. And that was the harsh deadline. All of that would have been happening internally.
Right.
Like, if I had like an extra week or whatever, because like I had to get it done. You know, we couldn't postpone her birthday. So it was like I kept on trying to convince myself to let go. I'm like, no, I'm not ready to let go yet. No, and that's like actually like you were reminding me. A friend of mine, Colin Wakefield, helped me with some of the mastering on that, and there was definitely like a time where you just perfectly reminded me of it, where it's like I was listening to the same 2 seconds over and over again because like there was a frequency that was off and it was ringing, and you could hear that ring in that 2 seconds. So I just looped that 2 seconds and tried to find the frequency, and he's like, "This is chaos." 2 seconds on loop for like 30 times more.
Did you find it?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Good.
That was really fun. Yeah. Thank you for asking me to do that. That was really absolutely fun, and it's nice to work on projects that are not my own so that I can kind of have harsh deadlines and stuff like that, because that is like we're talking about, like there is a level of like you can constantly like do fine detail work until like you can keep on refining something. Sometimes you can over refine something and it no longer sounds real. I had that with there's something called punching in, which we did a little bit of for your project, where you're recording and then you just kind of re-record a little take, like a little part, like a note or a word or something like that to make it better. I remember early on when I was first pursuing making music, I did so much punch work, like punching in on a song, and that married with the tone of my voice that I was singing. People thought I was using pitch correction software, and when I told them actually I didn't use any pitch correction at all, they didn't believe me. But like, is it any different to say I didn't use any pitch correction, but it is 200 takes all glued together? Like, it might as well have been pitch correction.
Right.
And so I've gotten better at recognizing that there's a balance to it. Like, working on some music for like the old Nintendo, where like every frame you have control over what's happening. Like so it's running at 60 frames a second, and it's programming. You're just telling it every 60th of a second, now do this, now do that. So you can make it perfect, and you have to go out of your way to make it imperfect. So I found that like if you listen to like really good music from that era, they added diphthongs to the lead, which is like scoops and like not exactly hitting your note. So like if you think of it like somebody going from this note to this note, they might overshoot it or they might undershoot and then have to like scoop back up to the note.
Make it seem more human.
Yeah, and adding vibrato to it, which is basically like the vibrating of the note, the shaking of the note. So you're going in and out of perfect pitch while doing it. So it's funny that there's like a balance to it. I don't know if when trying to coordinate, how many people are in your chorale? Is it 40 people in your chorus group?
In the barbershop chorus?
Yeah.
We're between 40 and 50 or so.
Yeah. I don't know how, I doubt that it could be even possible where you guys get into that fine tuning of sanding things down where it's like, okay, we need to reel back and not be so perfect. But do you guys ever run into something like that?
No, I mean, we sing at a fairly high level. You know, we've competed and, you know, placed well in competitions and all of that. But I mean, as far as that perfectionist mindset, for us, like that's not what we're trying to do.
You're trying to create a vibe, and you can feel it when you hit it, and you just hold on to it. Is that it?
Yeah, I mean, you're there. You're looking at the piece as a whole, and you have to recognize that there are going to be moments that aren't perfect. Even for, you know, the very highest level choruses, they may focus on that perfection a little bit more. I've sat in on some rehearsals for other groups that they, you know, for 45 minutes they sat there and, you know, worked on two measures, and, you know, the director would get up in the face of someone if their you know, timing's not matching up, be like, you're hitting that late, and it's like late, but it's just like,
that reminds me of jazz. It reminds me like when I pursued jazz, I pursued jazz for a little bit of time, and I can tell you that like when Whiplash came out, I was like, yeah, that's jazz music. That's what it's like. Like that level of just like, I still remember even like in high school, the jazz director stopping, like I was playing bass, upright bass, and the director stopped everything and then in front of everyone just yelled at me, "Remember everything I've ever said kind about your music. I take it all back." And I was thinking to myself, you've never said anything kind.
Yeah.
So that's not really the vibe for either the barbershop chorus that you're in or the Holland Chorale.
No, definitely not. I mean, of course, I mean, you want to put on a polished performance. You want to present a quality product when you're performing music. But at least for the organizations that I'm involved with, it's not about looking for that perfection.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what brings that community into it.
Yeah.
Because if all you're worried about is making it perfect, then that's all that you're worried about.
Exactly. You're losing sight of the community that you're a part of. And the beauty, the artistry of what you're actually doing. Like it is, you know, music is math, it's science, it is, but it's also art, and it's spiritual, and it's ephemeral.
Emotional. And,
yeah. Yeah, and if you get so wrapped up in your head, then the heart is being neglected.
Yep.
Wow. Well, now, besides the choir stuff that you've done, like with the barbershop group, you've also done the Holland Chorale. And I can say that for the times that I've sat in for both the Holland Chorale and the barbershop group, it's not simple. Like, the stuff that you guys do is super complicated. And, like, it's like, why... There was, like, one song for your Holland Chorale that I swear it was like, why did you even decide that there was a key? Why is there even a key listed at the beginning of the sheet music? Or a time signature if every measure is going to be different anyways. That's what it felt like. I was like, there's no way that I could do this in a month or whatever the time period was, because it was a really tight.
Yeah, it was a pretty quick turnaround from the visit that you made for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, this is holy. Yeah. So what's your experience with that group, and how does it compare to the a cappella groups that you've been in with, and as well as normal choir music, like back in high school with us, Vocal Airs, which was a successful choir group. We won awards.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then also the barbershop music. How does the chorale music compare to any of that?
I think the first part that I kind of gravitate towards when I'm comparing those is really the part that's like outside of the music, is once again just that community.
It's a completely different community. It is co-ed.
It is, yeah. The chorale is co-ed. I mean, it differs in that way for sure. But I think that the community as a whole, whatever community that comes from each organization, that's kind of like the thing that strings them all together. Like I'm involved with multiple organizations. One, because they make different kinds of music. But two, because I can be making music, whatever music that is, with different communities of people.
Sure.
And I've never considered myself extremely extroverted, which is weird because I have lots of people tell me the complete opposite of that. But the variety of people that you can make music with is like fascinating to me. And one of the things that I love about singing is that you can do it with anybody. Like talking about spontaneous music popping up, like that can happen with anybody anywhere.
That's part of the magic of the barbershop group. You guys even have like, what are those things called, like the tags or something like that, where it is just spontaneous music, and it's like written in to be like that. Yeah,
the tags are. It generally ends up being the last 8 or 16 measures of a song maybe, and the way that they're written is not necessarily to be standalone music, but they are easily separated from the rest of the song, and yeah, you can just stand around and make music and sing tags. So it's like you're not committing to, oh, I have to know a 2-minute long song to be able to stand together with a few other guys and sing barbershop.
And so if you memorize several tags, then you can hang out with other barbershop singers that aren't even part of your own chorus.
Yeah.
And then just be like, hey, let's sing a tag. Let's do it.
Lots of people would argue that that's their favorite part about going to convention.
Yeah.
It's, this international convention for barbershop happens, every summer in July. We were in Cleveland this last year. And Thursday night in the week, I headed over to the headquarters hotel, and it was like after the quartet sessions had ended for the evening and everything, and there's just people hanging out all over the lobby, up and down different floors, like tucked in corners, singing in a conference room. Like people are there because they love making barbershop music. And those quartets, you'll mix and match, and you walk up and you sing with people a little bit, or you just stand and listen and wander over to the next one. And I was literally in that hotel, like singing tags and making music until the sun came out.
That's awesome.
I walked out of that hotel back over to my hotel, and the sun is rising.
Right. Yeah. You're doing something that you love with other people who also love it, and it's like a good, positive thing that you can be proud of. Like, it's like so often, people come together to do whatever, and it just kind of feels empty and vapid. But there's like something just innately joyful about, singing with strangers, and like having that, like you don't even know this person yet, but you already know that you have a bond with them.
Yep.
I think it's awesome. I'm jealous.
Built in, and you get that. Each person's bringing their individual instrument into that.
Yeah.
So you can hear 4 people sing a chord or sing a tag, and you'll have somebody like, oh, like let me swap in for that bass part.
Yeah, it's gonna be totally different.
It's gonna be different.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be like you just listen to the same exact notes.
Yeah, it's you're reminding me of like why people tell me they really like going to concerts. Like even if it's the same band, where like people will follow a band because every performance is a little bit different because of that
Mm-hmm.
live element to it. But
Yep.
then it's even more so when you're actually changing out the people. Wow, that's really cool. And now I didn't mean to pull you away from the Holland Chorale stuff.
That's all right.
Yeah, let's get into that.
Yeah. So I think it is a little nostalgia based. My, the bulk of my early music experience was with choirs.
Sure.
And so that type of performing and singing and everything is always had a very special meaning to me. Um, what is it that draws me to choral music over barbershop music, or vice versa? I think it's more that I don't want to be tied to just one type.
Sure. If you haven't heard it yet, Justin and I did the collaboration I Can't Help Falling in Love with You, where he sang the lead and I did the instrumentation. I've included a link for you to check it out. And there's also more to this interview, a complete second half. If you're interested in seeing that as well, please let me know. Thanks.